Hi, my name is Igor Muchnik, and I'm a director of Cloud Platforms Practice of Blue Metal Architects. We're a consulting company, and we specialize in application modernization, cloud platforms, big data and analytics, mobility, and information management. So today I'm going to share with you a couple of tips that we have accumulated over time in building great single-page applications. When we dealing, especially with the cloud, we need to simplify our backend systems to enable them for easy scale. And when we have web servers that managing state of the clients, it's becoming a little bit problematic. We need to take care of the state. We need to make sure that when the web servers are failing, the clients are not interrupted. So that's primarily why we fall into building single-page applications. A lot of people, they question what a single-page application is, and there are a lot of different definitions. For myself, I define single-page application as a web application that provides a more fluid user experience, like a desktop application itself. When we're talking about web applications, we also need to remember that they are consist of 4 parts. It's actually any application, in fact. We have certain views, we have certain data, and a workflow that drives them, merges them together, as well as the state where user at right now, what's right now visible on the screen, what's he working on right now. And it's very important to remember that the state is what allows user to navigate through the workflows. And specifically the state and single-page applications, we want to move state management, want to move it to the client side. And that is why it's important to have well-written single-page applications that know how to manage state very well and how to manage the workflows. So this is the coding only session. I will be primarily doing coding today, and you are welcome to follow me along. I'm going to paste a link to a source on the GitHub of the sample application that I will be working with. Here we go. So here in the Visual Studio, I have an empty MVC4 project. The only thing that I added here is an example of a badly written single-page application. So we've been building web single-page applications. I don't mean we as a company, I mean we, like developers. We've been building single-page applications for ages. And in a lot of cases it was very hard, it's become messy, and application quality degrades over time. But recently there have been an explosion of different frameworks that enables you to build single-page applications with ease and even to enjoy building them. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk today about. I'm going to show a couple of different frameworks that I'm using over time and a couple of tips how to apply them. There are different frameworks that provide similar functionalities, so don't log specifically on the frameworks that I'm using. Try to pick up just the tips that enable you to move forward. So this is an example, a bad example. You can see here, like it's an analytic application. There are a lot of nesting code, nesting callbacks. You can see pages, like web views are merged together. You can see here how it works. This is a trivial example. You know that all of us sometimes who have families need to run a bunch of tasks in the house. And this is an application for our spouses to manage those tasks. Okay, so let's just have fun with this. You can see here that I have 2 main states of the application. You can see the home, where we get the welcome screen, and we have a tasks list where we can see all the tasks we need to execute. You can add tasks here. Let's say we need to do some dusting. And as you can see, the application is fully operational. It uses behind the scenes a very trivial web service. Here you can see tasks controller. It's implemented on MSP MVC 4 a web API. It enables only 2 methods that retrieves all of the lists of the tasks and allows us to add tasks to the tasks repository. It's as simple as that. We will not be looking today at the web services. This is just to show that the application can communicate with the backend over RESTful API. I want to concentrate today on building the clients themselves. Let me maybe point a couple of problems with this, except that every monolithic application itself, you can notice that the application, even though it keeps the state on the browser, there is no way for the user to preserve the state at all. It's not possible to bookmark. The application doesn't support deep linking. There is no way for the user even to send this page or this, restore this state anytime later. If I will take this URL, obviously, and would put it in a different browser, it always will take me to the home page. So that's one of the diseases of the poorly written single-page applications. We want to tackle that as well. So let's get started, and we'll slowly start refactoring this application to make it better. But first thing first, when we're starting working on single-page application, we need to do some planning. First of all, we need to think about different views in different regions that are going to be changing and changing their state, changing their views. In my trivial example, you can see here, I put small diagram. We can see 2 main regions. We have a static menu region on the top that in our example will not be changing, and we have a central region that has 2 different subviews. It may show a home view and it may show a tasks view. We want to allow user not only to switch between the states, but we also want to allow him to preserve the state in the history. So when he clicks back or forward in the browser or refreshes the page, the application doesn't switch back into its initial state, doesn't lose the state. So for that, there are a bunch of different frameworks available, and today I'm going to use Backbone Swapping Router. Routers, they allow us to translate navigation across URLs into eventing, as well as it allows some of the routers, they know how to preserve history. There are different libraries that help us to do that, like Semi or history.js. Today we're going to see Backbone Swapping Router. So I'm going to just clone our bed application here. Let's go ahead and just copy this. So we're going to slowly clean this up and start refactoring. Okay, so this is our index file. Let's create a good example today. So first thing first, I want to bring a router into my application. So I'm going to create application folder that will contain all our code. And I'm going to create an router. So I just brought a small snippet here, just a default router implementation. You can see here that the router, this Backbone Swapping Router, has a collection of different URLs that we want to manage. When the user navigates from one URL to another, an appropriate event is fired, so we can take care of that switch inside our code. In this case, you can see a default route event will be fired when the user navigates to a default route. As you've seen here in my diagram, I want to ensure when user navigates to the default URL, the home view is taken care of and placed inside the viewport. And when user navigates to the tasks URL, the tasks view is placed inside the viewport. So let's go ahead and add here our tasks event here. Okay, when I go to the default route, I want to show that we're inside home. I'm going to clean this file a little bit. Here, I need to remove everything that's in grid, and I'm going to provide allocation for our views. Inside the router, you can see here that it initialized with a region that it will be placing views in. Viewport ID corresponds to this div that I just placed in the page. So let's go ahead and see how this works for us. Sorry, I need to switch to a different page. Okay, it's not really working because I didn't change the URL, and of course I didn't bring the router itself here. So here I'm bringing the backbone router support, and I'm going to bring in my router implementation. Okay, we need to bring a couple more files. We need to bring the backbone itself. Okay, something wrong with the URL click here. Let's go ahead moving. I will resolve it a little bit later. Okay, let's go ahead. So now when I go across the tasks or the main route, you can see that the router fires appropriate events. So let's go ahead and inject the appropriate views in the right places. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create appropriate view handlers, appropriate view implementations inside our application folder. So here I'm going to create the home view. I'm going to create tasks view. I'm going to put a very trivial implementation of the view itself. Here will be our home view. As well as inside tasks. This will be our tasks view. We'll say tasks. So EL element will hold a content of the view itself. So when the swapping router tries to inject the view into the viewport, we will see that content inside the viewport region. Let's go ahead and bring into our application those two view implementations. So here's our home view and our tasks view. If everything is done appropriately, we should see application working. Here we go, we can see the home content from the home view is injected into the viewport. And when I go to the tasks, we see the tasks content of the tasks view is injected in the viewport. So now let's take it one step further. We want to use templates now to contain the content of separate views. So that allows us to decouple, to break our HTML page a little bit further. So let's go ahead and put a couple of templates in place. Okay, so I'm going to take from our, actually, by the way, I need to take out everything from here. This is why. Okay. So I'm going to take from our old example content of our home page, and I will put it inside the template for the home view. And I'm going to take the content from the tasks view, and I'm going to put it inside the template for our tasks. And I'm going to use the templating engine right now to extract those templates and return them as the content for my view. So I will take ID of the home view template, and I will return it from my home view render function. I will take an ID for the tasks template, and I will return it from my render function of the tasks view. Let's see how this works now. Here we go. Here we're inside tasks view, and now we're inside the home view. As you can see, we've returned back the behavior of our application. Almost. We still see that the tasks view is not operational as we would like it to. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I will take from my old example the code from my bad example, let's call it this way, a function refresh, and I will put it inside my tasks view. And I will make sure to call this refresh function when the tasks view is activated. I will do it inside the router. So now you can see the tasks view starts to operate correctly, but still nothing happens when I try to add a task into my tasks view. So for that, I'm going to use a view eventing mechanism. So here inside the backbone view, I can now add certain events that relate to this view, and I can put behavior handling of those events inside the view itself. So for that, I'm going to declare that the click event of the send task command will fire an add task event. And I'm going to declare an event handler here at task that will take care of adding tasks to the task list. We'll take it from our old example, and everything should work. Let's just go ahead and see. Oops, I meant testing. Okay, so You can see right now I've fully restored our application, but now you can see that the HTML file is much nicer. Everything right now inside encapsulated, all the views encapsulated inside templates, and we can use different templates based on the changes in the application to respond to the user actions. We can see right now that we've broken our monolithic code into nice manageable chunks. So what we've seen so far, we've broken our application into manageable chunks. We have separate views, we have history management, we have deep linking management. It's becoming much better, but it's still it's not good enough. So we also applied templating. So now we can separate our data from our views, and we can use different templating engines to merge them together into to render them together into different other views. So we've seen how we've broken the application into smaller chunks, into manageable chunks, but it's not good enough. If you will notice what's happening here in the network stream, you can see that every time when the user opens the application, all the parts, everything is coming in to the browser, even the parts that the user didn't actually request it. For example, what if the user will never go to the tasks list, but still the tasks view came down? We don't want to force user to wait until every single portion of the application coming to the browser. It may be not as problematic for the desktop clients, but it's definitely problematic for mobile clients when the bandwidth is limited, right? So let's see how we can improve that. For that, we are going to imply AMD asynchronous model definitions that allows us to get the better modularization of the application and ensure that only required parts coming down to the browser. Okay, so let's see how we can modularize our application further. I'm going to use require.js to enable AMDs for my application. I'm going to bring it in through the NuGet. Okay. To get it started, let's go ahead and bring it into my web page. Here, require.js. And I'm going to take out now my home and task view, as well as we'll get out the router. Now we can see the application starts to shrink. Let's go ahead and create configuration for the require. I'm going to create a boot script that will preset everything that's needed to enable require to work. Okay, and I'm going to, so this is a simple configuration that tells require.js that the root of our application inside the apps folder, and we'll talk about this portion a little bit later. So here, I want to make sure that when I initialize my application, here when I start the history, I need in fact to have an application router available for me. So for that, I'm going to call require in band, and I'm going to ask for a router module. So the router module will be downloaded for me before this function will be executed. So require.js will ensure that the router module is available for me just before the function is executed. And I want to make sure that the result of the router module execution will be placed for me into appRouter variable. And as soon as all the prerequisites are available for me, I want to initialize application router and start managing the history of my application. But to make this work, I need to refactor the router a little bit to the AMD definition. And this is as simple as wrapping it in the define function and return a result of execution back to the require. So the result of this execution of the module will be placed into the upRouter variable. So the require matches the module on the left side in this collection to variable by place. So if I haven't set a second module required here, the second variable will take the result of the execution of this module declared in the second place. Okay, so far so good. So now let's go ahead and refactor our router. We want to make sure that when the router is initialized, we know that it will navigate to our default route, which requires availability of the home view. Obviously, everything that I download via NuGet, you can download them off-band from the places of origin of the projects themselves. They're all available in beta on GitHub, most of them. So here we see that the router requires presence of the home view definition. So let's go ahead and declare a dependency for this module to the home view. Okay, so here I'm going to say that my router module depends on the view's home view, and the result will be placed into the home view variable. Hence I can continue using home view here, but we also need to refactor our home view into the AMD. Okay, we want to return result of the execution of this module, so we can use it later inside our router. So we almost done with the router, but we're still missing the tasks view. But we said that we want to make sure that the tasks view initialized only when the user navigates to the tasks view. So we don't want to download the tasks view at the same moment when the router is downloaded. We want to download it off-band, only on demand. So as we've already seen in the boot, you've seen this example here. I can call require off-band. I will do the same trick here. Require. I will need to bring here our tasks view from the view's location. The result of the module I will place in the tasks view variable, so I can use it here. Okay, let's go ahead and refactor our tasks view appropriately. Okay, so if we did everything appropriately, the application should work. Let's go ahead and see how this works. Okay, so we have a missing, we're missing initializing the boot. Let's go ahead and bring our boot script. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. So now when I navigate to the beginning of to the root URL of our application, the bootstrapper is kicked in, which initializes require.js, and then it calls to require and asks to bring the router. And you can see here that the router comes down as a script. The router, in its way, asks for a home view dependency, required to make sure to bring that dependency before this function is executed. And then you can see that the home view came down. and only then the router was initialized. But as you can see, the tasks view didn't come down to the browser. Only when I navigate to the tasks view, you can see here that the tasks view was downloaded, and then the tasks view inside initialize, it asked for the tasks content, and we see here that the tasks values came down. So that's how we create modularization. Let's take it one step further. We can apply exactly the same pattern to the templates themselves. You've seen here that we still were bringing everything, all the HTML content with us. So let's take those templates out into modules and download them on demand as well. So we'll use require here as well. So I'm going to create a templates folder, and I'm going to add HTML page for each template that I want to take out. The naming doesn't really matter. You can use any naming convention that suits you. This is naming convention that I prefer. From our templates now, I'm going to take out templates. So this is template for our tasks. Let's make it nice. I want to point one thing here. When we had templates inline, Visual Studio didn't really provide us with the luxury of like highlighting and treating this content as HTML. It was treating it as embedded data. Now when I'm moving it out to the template file, since it's HTML specifically, now Visual Studio allows us to treat it as HTML content. Okay, that's nice. And now I can take those templates from here. Okay, and now I'm going into my views and I'm going to declare dependency on those templates. So here I'm going to use a text require.js plugin, and that's why we had this like path definition here. I pointed require where the text plugin is located. And I'm going into my home view and I'm going to declare here a dependency on my home view template. Here I'm asking to treat it as a text, and it's coming from templates location home. I'm going to put the same dependency in my tasks view. Actually, sorry, similar dependency. And it will be tasks view template. The result of this module will be placed into a template variable. The same thing here. And here I'm going to return the value of my template. The same thing inside my tasks view. Inside my render function, I'm going to return result of my template. Okay, let's see how this looks like now. So you can see when the home view came down, we asked for dependency on the home view template. We see here that require downloaded dependency on the text plugin, download the text plugin itself, but then we see downloaded the home view template and return template as the content of our render function of the view. When I navigate to the tasks, we see similar behavior here, but require already had text plugin downloaded, so it will not download it again. You can see here tasks view came down. It asks for dependency on task view template. We see here the task view template came down. The render function was executed, and then the refresh function brought down the task value. So that's how we can ensure that even the HTML content is downloaded on demand only when we need it. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Yes, I am using, here's a question about jQuery and require. They do not collide with each other. As you can see here inside my file, I am using jQuery internally, and here I'm using require. Require only provides me with functionality of asynchronous modules. Okay, second question. How does API work with different browsers? Almost all the libraries that I show you today work pretty well with all of the browsers that I tried with, both with IE, with Chrome, with Firefox. So most all of them depend on jQuery internally, which provides us with the browser abstraction. The question here about using Razor to generate portions of HTML, it works perfectly well. It works perfectly well. Everything that I show you here, when you declare dependency, you provide a path to the content, and this can be a URL that points to your Razor view. So you can, and actually you have to, and sorry, it's not you have to. In most cases, you prefer to use Razor to generate views dynamically, and it's actually one of the best ways to ensure that even the portions of the data, they come first time with its own view. And it's I wanted to show it to you, but we're running short on time, so maybe we'll see at the end if we can do that, if we'll have time. So we've seen how we can create modules for our applications and declare dependencies across those modules. But if we will see again what's going on across the wire, we see now there is like an enormous amount of chatter going on between the client and the server. And we said that we have in a lot of cases clients with a very limited bandwidth, specifically mobiles. We want to reduce the communication between the client and the server as much as possible. So for that, I'm going to show you a next tip and trick that allows us to reduce the amount of data sent across the wire. So we're going to use a bundling and minimization technique. So inside, we started to get this functionality inside ASP.NET 3, ASP.NET MVC 3. In 4 it became better, but in MVC 4.NET 4.5 we get even nicer experience, and that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to bring in a dependency. Actually, sorry, I already did that previously. Here, I brought a NuGet package called Microsoft ASP.NET Web Optimization, and I asked for still beta version of this thing. It's in the last stages, and it will be shipped with ASP.NET 4.5. And we'll see today how it operates and what it allows us to do. So inside my global ASICs, I'm going to create a couple of bundles for us. I'm going to bundle all my style sheets together, as well as the scripts that I require to initialize my web application. So I'm going to create my styles bundle. Oh, actually I don't have that dependency here. Let me bring it down. Okay. Here we go. Now we have my dependency. And I'm going to create a bundle called, for example, all styles, where I'm going to package everything that's inside my CSS folder that has extension CS. And I'm going to add it to bundle table. As well as I'm going to create a scripts bundle. But in this case, I'm going to pick those files one by one because I have too many files inside my scripts folder. So for this, I will go into my index.html and I will extract all of those scripts, even with require. And I will pick them up inside my bundle. And as you can see, I can pick up scripts from different folders. Here we go. So now when I've created bundles, let me just go ahead and add this to our bundle table. I can now move into an ASP.NET MVC4 view. Here you can see a totally empty view. I'm going to take everything from my index file here and I will move it into the view. Okay, but now I don't need all of this. I can replace it right now with the helper methods. And I can specify what bundles I want to include. So I'm going to include here the all styles bundle. And I'm going to call a similar helper method for script rendering. And I'm going to bring in my scripts bundle. Let's go ahead and see how this works now for us. Oh, we need to go to the root now. Okay. So let's see what's going on the Y right now. You can see that all those scripts came in one by one. And you can ask, rightfully so, what's actually happening? Why bundle didn't kick in? This is a very nice feature what you see right now in working. When you are running inside the debug mode, which is controlled by this variable, ASP.NET MVC4 makes sure that all those scripts they're coming as is to you, so you can debug them. Because when I turn this thing off, here inside our index, first we need to remove the style sheet here. Okay, so portions came, the style didn't came. Let me see why. That's correct, scripts is a folder, that's true, I missed that. But the styles are not coming, CSS, sorry, my bad. Here we go. I put the wrong extension here. Perfect, okay. So that's what it. So you can see here that all the styles came down as packaged and minified file. Here you can see that the payload was reduced for us by the built-in minimization plugin that's plugged in by default inside the styles bundle, as well as all scripts came minified and packaged for us. And you can see how we reduced the chatter across the wire. You can use bundling minifications for almost everything that you have in the application. You can package your templates, you can package your data. This is a very nice and extensible functionality that you can start using starting from MVC 4. And I'm open for questions. I've a question here in Jabber. I mentioned that SPA template is coming 2013. Yes. The SPA template that's coming in Visual Studio, as far as I know, will just contain a nice layout, nice template, and set of like predefined libraries that will just get you started, the same way as any other templates that you have right now in Visual Studio, that just set up your environment to the needs that just to get you started. As you know, you can take any template right now in Visual Studio and clean it up and change it to your own needs. Okay, what other questions we have so far? Okay, we have something here. What advantages does Backbone has over Knockout.js? As I mentioned, there are a whole range of different libraries. Actually, I put here a slide for that. There is a whole range of different libraries available for us, and their numbers and functionality explodes every day. We get more and more, and it's very important just to first of all not to randomize yourself, but stick with a couple that you really like and know them well, how to use. And a lot of libraries, they provide different functionality that you may like and may not like, so you can start combining them together. Like, for example, Backbone is an MVC framework, whereas Knockout is an MVVM framework. And some people like the way how Backbone provides the structure for the application. Some people like more how Knockout provides a nice declarative bindings for the views. And that's why another project here I put here on the slide called Knockback was created, which kind of brings together both Knockout and let's say pros of both Backbone and Knockout together, and allow you to create declarative bindings on the Backbone views that will pick up Backbone models. So when the Backbone model is changed, then the Backbone view will be updated using Knockout declarative bindings. Okay, so that was answer. I hope that was helpful. Does bundling respect the included order? As far as I know, yes. We can see here, if we turn off the bundling again, let's get ahead and just do that. The scripts are coming down in the order they declared inside the global ASX. Let's say here that we have underscore and then JSON. Let's see how this works. Yeah, so underscore then JSON. If I'll change the order of JSON, I'll bring it up and then underscore. You need to remember to rebuild this thing. So we can see that JSON came and then underscore. So yes, bundling supports preserve the ordering. Okay, so text.js library is a plugin for require.js that allows require.js to treat incoming dependencies not as JavaScript files, but as a raw text. When you may have noticed when I was bringing in the JavaScript dependency, it was essentially evaluating that module before it was executing the original module that depended that dependency. Here you can see that the router module asks the home view dependency. It's a JavaScript. Require evaluated the home view module, evaluated this function before the router function was evaluated. and the result of evaluation was provided for you as a value of the home view variable declared inside our function callback side require. So text plugin, coming back to text plugin, asks the require not to evaluate that content, but just treat it as a raw text. So I hope that was what you've been looking for. It seems that if you have a complex interface, that single web page concept could get really messy. Okay, so I hope that during this whole presentation you've noticed that I was in fact trying to simplify our application by splitting into smaller manageable chunks. You can see right now that each view, for example, each subview has its own isolated into one place functionality. So all the functionality for that view is located inside this view model here. You can call it view model, but it's really kind of like a view in the backbone sense, in the clear case. In the clear sense. If we continue through all those practices by splitting and simplifying the application itself and putting them into smaller manageable chunks, then everything the life becomes easier. That was my goal here, to show that you can get all this complicated concept and make it easier. Let me know if I maybe didn't understand the question. I can go a little bit deeper in that. Amber adjustment to that. I maybe can add as well, but I'm not. I haven't had the kind of like in my projects. I didn't really use those libraries. I heard a lot of good things, and we obviously, you know, that the amount of libraries is growing every day. So it's. I mean, if I'll be including all of them, I will have no time even go through the 1 hour through all of them. Do you have a framework pattern you use for displaying server errors in SPA? Yes, I don't have a framework, but I do use a technique that I tried to show yesterday, where my server was using SignalR, which is the PubHub framework, to send notifications back to the client. I'm using something like Toaster to pop up bubbles for the user's attention to show that there have been error on the server. But I also maintain a state like, let's say, an error list inside my client, and I append all those errors into that collection, and I have a separate view that presents the user with all the errors, so he can go and react to them off-band. Are you going to post the PowerPoint presentation online? Yes, I will. All the presentations will be available through Channel 9 as far as I understand. Thanks for using Toaster. You're welcome. Can we see an example of Razor view generation templates? Yes, let's just do that. Do we have any other questions? Here I have one question inside Jobber. Does bundling deliver anything beyond what client dependency framework gives us? The example that I showed you that provides you with bundling and minifications, you can, in fact, you can go and create your bundles. I don't really understand the question. It's not really provide more than that. It allows you to package different content together into like manageable chunks, and you can control how this content comes to your client. You can compress it before sending it, you can encrypt it, you can add data, you can modify, you can create your bundles. You don't have to use styles of script bundle. You can just create like any bundle and just do like new bundle, and here you can use a path. Let's call it like my templates, and you can use bundle transform, so you can have like gzip, or you can use some minification or obfuscation, and then you can just use you can ignore it. You can just ask, please bring my templates together, Here, for example, let's just try doing that here. Let's bring home view template. And let's bring tasks view template. Okay. And then don't forget to add it to the bundle. What's the question here? Do you ever end up testing any of your SPA code, and if so, how? Yes, testing is super important, and I think I've seen somebody was presenting today on, or was it yesterday, on testing. There are a couple of things to remember about testing. So first of all, splitting application into small chunks and separate views allows me, in fact, to test each view in separation from the real application. I don't have to render the whole app to test my subview. So that's, in fact, simplifies the testing drastically. Testing of JavaScript is most important. There are a lot of libraries, like here on the slide I showed. There are libraries like, and the slide is not coming up into view. Here we go. Like JUnit or JSUnit or mock.json. There are a lot of libraries that provide you with the testing functionality. One of the things that they don't really cover is how to test it headless, how to test it without the browser, without the need of browser. But there are a bunch of browser, and there's like a WebKit that allows you to write tests and run those tests without browser presence in scripts. So you can plug in into your continuous delivery process or continuous integration. So it's very important to do the testing. Okay, so somebody asked me to example. Yes, I'll get into generating template. Knockbound, here the question, if knockback has both functionality knockout and backbone. No, you still need to bring knockout and backbone separately, but knockout provide you with a set of features that kind of like merges them together and provides you nice functionality across both of them. So it's not it does not include all of them inside. It's just an extra add-in, like a plugin. Somebody is very persistent, want to see how we create, how we render Razor views here. Okay, let's go ahead and just do that. And let's go ahead first inside our controller. Where's that? Let's go ahead and get the I'm going to return my home view template as my dynamic view here. Okay, here we go. So we have a dynamic view. Let's see if we can get to this view correctly. Okay. So it brought in my template. Okay, I need to create a view that doesn't have a master page. Let's just do that. So here I need to create a page that doesn't use the master page. Then we can have full control over the content. Here we go. We need to turn off the, okay, you know what, I'll do it offline. I'll post it along with the application. So we need to make sure to turn off the HTML wrapper around the view. I can do it offline. I have a solution for that. Okay. There is a question if this Google Chrome button is a standard feature. Yes, from Visual Studio 2012, it's a standard feature. You can go, you can choose the browser that you want to debug the application with, and you can add your own on the fly here. So when you click on this button, it obviously will start the web view within the browser of your choice.
That looks like it, Igor.
Okay, sounds great.
A couple extra minutes. Thank you very much. Outstanding job today, and thank you all attendees. And remember to thank our sponsors, Microsoft, Telerik, and Component One, for helping bring this to you.
Appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thank you very much.